Do you remember one of my previous vlogs, probably about 4 months ago, a few months ago, where I showed the chart of bilingualism? I'm going to show it to you again. For hearing people, their first language is English. They are exposed to English from the minute they are born. Hearing parents and their families are always talking, and the babies take this information in. Why is that important? Well, it's important because we all as people, as humans, have wiring in our brains. It's like a program for language, but it's limited. It starts from the moment we're born, but as you grow older, your ability to acquire language plummets. You'll see it on the graph here. Now, the best time to learn a language is ages 0 to 5. After age 5, your ability to pick up languages natively drops. Around the age of puberty, like age 12 or 13, you're done. You can't learn any more languages natively. Some deaf people have the opportunity to learn sign language natively, like hearing people, but these people are deaf people with deaf parents. Their parents sign from them from the moment they're born, and after a few days, when the baby's eyes finally open, they see their parents and their families and friends and the community signing around them. And they can take that all in and absorb the language into their brain. Now that provides the deaf people with deaf parents a full foundation for language. A lot of various skills, classifiers, grammar, the ability to manipulate their signing. And then they can express it what they want in sign language with ease. The skills are fully developed, fully set up. Later, when they learn a second language, those skills transfer to the second language. Now, the second language, pattern, rule, grammar, etc., are set up to match in a person's mind. Then they're able to use the second language fluently. I'll show you what this looks like. That picture, it looks like an iceberg. So what you see, the top portion, is the sign language. What you don't see is all the stuff that's going on inside in the brain. Everything that's working and trying to produce things. So when you have a full foundation of the first language, it can transfer to the second language. That's why people like Nikki Horrell Schmitz or LMA Lintz and others have the first language of ASL. They were able to transfer their skills to the second language, English, really well. Now, most deaf people, are lucky to be deaf of deaf. Unfortunately not. Most deaf people have hearing parents. Some of us are lucky to have hearing parents that when they found out their child was deaf, learned how to sign. They were able to build a full language foundation the same way. But many of us did not have parents who were most of us were not that lucky. We had parents who found out we were deaf and immediately put us in an oral program, or to use C signs. But remember, as we discussed in a previous vlog, C is not sign language. It does not provide full access to English. So when deaf people don't have full access to a language, what does it mean for their first language? Really, their first language, like mine, is English. But for many deaf people, their access to English is through oralism or C sign, which is incomplete. Some do better than others, yeah. But for most, it's not enough. It's not complete. You can see that there isn't enough access to the language through their writing. You can see a lot of errors. Even those naysayers say, oralism and C are great, they're awesome. It's the best way to go for deaf people to learn. Or they must be chosen. But if you read their writing carefully, you can see the same errors because they didn't have an internalization or the skills of English. Often, many deaf finally learn ASL later in life. They meet deaf people, they go to a deaf school, but how old are they when that usually happens? Well, they're usually teenagers or adults. Which means they now have two factors against them. Two factors against them in their abilities to learn ASL. First, the language learning window, when puberty's ended. So their window is closed, which applies to learning the linguistics as well. Also, that idea of a foundation of a language and the skills being developed and set up and transferring to the second language, that also applies. If the first language is developed, then the second language will also be. But maybe it's not fully developed. Maybe it's only a little bit. It means that this minimal level of skill will also be transferred to the second language. That's why we see many people, deaf people, that use ASL. But often their ASL is influenced from English. And their minimal linguist development in English does transfer to their level of ASL. They can't completely understand the linguistics of ASL. Its grammar, the ability to change signs, manipulate them, compared to the deaf people with deaf parents who can switch easily between English and ASL. And the skill level is equal. So that's why my shirt, it says what it says. Deaf children have rights to receive ASL from the moment they are born.